Good morning. I'm Alexis, the founder of Fanfaire, and I am super excited to have Alissa Marie Lane here with us today. She is a amazing business owner, really smart and savvy, but also very talented with decor. She recently joined the Sempertex team, and she also has her MBP, which is their Master Balloon Professional certification. So a lot of the skills that Alissa brings to our community are centered around things that you can make money off of that are in the certified program through Sempertex. So I'm really excited today. She's showing us some techniques with link-on-loons, which she's totally mastered. And as part of this, the sizing and all that, she's going to explain all the details of how to make it look really, really good. But I'll turn it over to you. Welcome, Melissa. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello, hello. Hi, my name is Alyssa, and I am a business owner in the Chicagoland area. I've been doing balloons for about 17 years now. So, like, every time I say that, I'm like, what? That's so crazy. So, and then I also have my Callie Cal in the background. She's been doing balloons for 6 months. So, and I just want to say that because a lot of the things that Alexis is talking about because we're going to actually be doing links. We're going to be doing alternate duplet in two different ways as well. So there's three different techniques for these three different pieces of fruit. And it's not the thing that I like about classic decor is that it is recipe based and you could teach it to anybody. So it's also extremely duplicatable. Um, I'm going to tell a quick little story. Like I know that when we were off screen that one of the viewers, Melissa, I believe. Was it Melissa? I wasn't looking. Okay, sorry. That
Yeah.
Melissa was talking about how they went away for the 4th of July. It was quaint and sweet. And it just made me yearn for the days of when I got to celebrate holidays because we have a really big 4th every single year because we have a few different corporate events. And this year, one of my main production staff members, the week before the 4th on Sunday, I was working with her. She wasn't feeling too well. She had mono, which we found out on Tuesday. And I had so much work to do. It's because like we have multiple events, and one of the events is one of my biggest events of the year. So we do 2 yards. It's one of my corporate customers who has a personal party, and they invite everybody. Since everything that we did was recipe based, I reached out to some local balloon companies who I know don't do a lot of fourth business, and we're friendly with each other. They're really good. And I was able to just give them the recipes and they made everything exactly the way that we made it. So you couldn't tell a difference between me making it, my staff making it, or another company making it when I got into trouble. So, and it was really easy just to be able to hand off those recipes and have them do it. So just no matter where you are in your business, because you never know, you could have a family emergency, you could get sick, you might need to reach out to somebody else for help. So I always recommend just like even if you're just doing organic, finding a way to recipe every single thing that you do. So that way you could get help when you need help because none of us could do this alone. It's just, that's the only thing that I've really, really learned over the years. So, but, like Kelly was making the thing about classic and about links is her second week on the job, she made a Santa. And I'm going to tell you something. Making the pineapples is the exact same thing that you need to do to build the Santa. It's just in different colors and a different pattern, different sizing, but it's the exact same technique. You do the link rooms, you do the link rings exactly the same, you do the connectors exactly the same, and you attach your rows with the exact same weave. So everything that you're doing is like we might be making one thing, but you could make so many things out of those patterns and recipes. So which is so nice. That's why I love it. Um, okay, where should I start? What do we want to start with? Do we want to let's start with the watermelon. I feel like that's really fun. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So, real quickly, we're going to do three different pieces that have a little bit varying techniques. So, we're going to do a watermelon wedge, a pineapple, and then if we have time, she'll go from scratch on the strawberry. So, if you do have any Lincolns around you and you want to hands-on participate, you don't necessarily need to build the entire thing to figure out how it works together. So, I encourage you to grab your inflator, grab your Lincolns, any 5 inches. Alyssa, do they need any 260s or anything?
Yeah, I would do 260. The first one is actually made with alternate duplet, and making the watermelon is exactly the same as the rainbow class that we taught, which is It's just doing a rainbow in different colors, in watermelon colors. So that's why I wanted to do this first and why I'm not going super into depth with it, because we did do the video that is accessible to everyone who's watching on how to make the rainbow. And it's the exact same technique as the rainbow. So for this one,
Awesome.
here we go. Our little, just like a tiny rainbow, instead of a big rainbow, it would be the bottom half for this little watermelon slice that we're doing. So, and I even used the same measurements that we did for the rainbow as well. So everything that we had on that, it's the exact same recipe, except for I only did I think I went 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It was 9. So I just did 9 on each one instead of doing, instead of making it with, I believe that we did 16 when we did the rainbow. But all the measurements are exactly the same. So everybody has that.
Sorry,
Okay.
9 pairs. So the bottom is
Yep, 9 pairs.
4 pairs of what size?
So I need to look. I can't remember. I believe that it was 8 and 6.5 is what we did. So it was 8 inches and then 6.5 inches. So,
Okay.
and when you work alternate duplet, the more the difference between the size of the inner balloon and the outer balloon, or the small and the big, is the tighter the curve is going to be. So when you do something like a rainbow or a slice of watermelon, or if we did like a little bit of white right here and then came up, it could become a lime slice, or it could become a lemon wedge, or we could do an orange slice. If we did it the entire length of the rainbow, then instead of being like the little triangle wedge that we're making, then it could be an entire, like watermelon half, like the little half smiley face, just upside down. So just look at it and know that while you're making it, I think it's really good to just think about all of the other things that you do, because these are all transferable skills. Okay, so we have our bottom row. And then I did my second row, and I believe that this was 5 and 4.5.
Okay.
And that's kind of all red, and it's the same thing where it's going to be 5. So I have 5 to the front and 4 to the back. And when I link them together, I'm going to make sure that my 5 side is with my 5 side and my 4 side is with my 4 side. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes.
I'm going to show you how we connect them. Some people use rubber bands. I don't like to use rubber bands because I feel like they're too loose. I'm going to lower this a little bit. Sorry. Everybody enjoy the close-up of my face. So I do have the edge of my 260 from when I came through because I needed to. And what you want to do is just like press down tightly. And see how I move my balloon so it's not here on top, the side. But I want to nestle this in between, in the crease between the 2 other balloons. And with strength, I'm going to come up and I'm going to pull this really taut and make sure that I go, these are joined with the 260 in between. I'll go over that next. I'm going to come up and down. So I'm going to come up, over, and down. And again, I'm going to go around the 260 and not just around the neck of a single balloon. And come up. This is a really short one. So we can just come back down. And I'm going to tie it in. That's how you connect the rows. And that's called a Z-weave or a zigzag weave, which is one of the techniques that I use the most for putting balloon rows together. So now we have our 2 rows that are connected. I'm going to go to the top row and show you how I connect them. Okay, so I use a 260. Has anyone ever used a 260 and it snaps while you're working with it? That's generally because it has a tiny little air bubble inside it, and so it causes it to pop. So if you just ribbon it or you squeeze, oops, just like that, squeeze all the air out, and then tie it at the end. Now it's flat, so there isn't any additional inside it, and then that's going to make it so that you don't have those air bubbles. So it really increases the tensile strength too. So it's a lot stronger this way. This row is a 3 to a 3.5 because there's not a lot of difference in between it. I always, when I do something like this, you can measure on your machine, but I like to measure it by going through. Yep, 3.5. And I prefer the slider because that way I could do two at the same time. And then also if I need something like a 1/4 inch, so I find that it's a little bit better than using the whole one. If you do the one with the holes, then don't use the one that I have. I broke my wooden one, so I got one of those like net ones. Could you go grab the one that I have that I hate? The reason I don't like it is because I don't feel like it's accurate because it stretches out a little bit when you do it. But I inflate and then I pull both balloons through. Show you how
So
I do
you're
it.
using, hold on, you're using a sizer on your machine and you still go back and do this?
I do for the small rows. I don't do for the big rows. Also, a lot of people don't have a sizing machine, so I just want to teach it this way. But this
Mm.
way I get my 3.5 to my 3, and it's going to be exactly the same every time. When I tie these, anything that's going to be structural, it's on top of the fiber helium. You're going to really cross over tight, go around twice, and then tie it because anything structural needs to be tight. So we have our 3 by our 3.5. This is the one that I replaced my wood one with. If you get a wood one, just super glue it. I just at first it doesn't have enough holes, and also see how they're kind of stretched out. That started to happen as we were using it. So that's why I don't like. It's good to have in a bind if you ever need to just bring something with you if you're looking for it, but the slider is a lot more accurate. Okay, so we're going to have 9 pairs of these. I'm going to tie it to my first one. And then what we're going to do, could everybody see okay?
Yeah.
We're going to keep our small one on the inside and our big one on the outside, and we're just going to pull, bring it up, and loop around. So I have 2, and you're just crisscrossing. 3, 4. It's the same color. It could be easy to get lost. I think I did. Here we go.
Yeah, this confuses me. It's not the right tension. Like, I'm so bad at this.
It's just practice. No one's ever good at anything when they're learning it, honestly. Nobody's good when they're a beginner. And what the difference is that I now have an eye. Like for me, going into the bag is making me lose my place. But you start to develop an eye for it, and it's a lot easier when you're on the bigger sizes than it is on the small sizes. Or I recommend, again, just practicing by having 2 different colors instead of one color. It's the only place that the watermelon gets tricky. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 8, and 9. And you can see I have like one little, we'll just straighten that out. Like that. You get lost.
Yeah.
So now again, we're going to take it. Look at the ones that were just sitting on my shelf all night compared to these, how they're so much, just so much more matte from being here. I actually had made that one. I added the extra that I did. I started it. What I'm doing is I'm tapering in a row as I get to the top because I want it to form more of a triangle where it's going to be getting smaller to come up. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So now again, we're going to come down. I'm going to go around the 260. Up. Down. And then we're going to tie this in. Looking super cute. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more row that's on top.
Okay.
Yeah, same for what? Sorry, I didn't see the question.
Ebony just commented, which is so relatable. She said her problem is that she gets overzealous with tightening things with the 260s and starts to squish the balloons. And her dad used to tell her, "Gentle bear," which is hilarious because can't you like you're so relatable? Like you're forcing the thing. That's good.
I know. It's really easy to go too hard. I feel like my first one when I turned around went the wrong way. So I'm going to do the last row just with a few of them. And I'm going to go down a little bit. So I'm going to go to 3 inches and 2.5 inches. Again, we're getting tiny. I'm just going to do instead of 9, so it was like 9, 9, 7, and then I'm going to do 5 pairs for this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So I need 10 5-inch.
Sorry, just so make sure I got that right. The two smaller rows you did a 3.5 and a 3 inch.
3.5 with 3, and then I'm doing 3 with 2.5.
No, that you just did rows, call it like 5 and 6 coming to the top.
That's how many we have. So it was 9 balloons across, 9 balloons across, and then I did 7, and now I'm going to do 5 for the next row. So that way we come more to a little point. Pairs, how many pairs we're doing instead of rows.
But the size of the last two rows that you had already attached were 3.5 and 3.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't think I understood correctly. Whenever Alexis asks me for the classes, I'm like, I'm going to teach fruit, and I'm going to do a watermelon, and I'm going to do a pineapple, and I'm going to do, and because I'm so overzealous with all the things, because there's so many cute things that you could do. And I'm like, oh, we only have an hour. And then last one. The other thing is when you use the machines, when you're sizing down this low on even the machines with the timer, I feel like it's just not as accurate for the really small sizes. Okay, so
Yeah,
again,
because
we're going,
like it's because you have to grab it at the right time too. So if your timing is off, right?
yeah, or if your finger is just even covering it the tiniest bit. It's 2, 3, See, now we have this little tiny, see, that's how it just needs a itty bitty. And again, ebony, when you're doing it too, not just the tightness, but make sure that you're going around the 260, because if you're just going around the neck of the balloon, that's also what will pull it out of shape. So now I'm just going to take this one and honestly just bring it down and tie it to the bottom.
That's where I feel like there's a lot of risk for it to get bent out of shape. What you just did, tying it down several rows.
I just pulled it straight though. Pulled it real straight down. Okay, so cute. Okay, so what we're going to do now, and I tried this 2 different ways, and I decided I usually am not a use adhesive person, but for these little um, watermelon seeds, I tried to do dumbbells, and I think that since they're so sized down, it was like looking weird. And you could tie them in too, but I thought that adhesive, like if I was going somewhere cold, I just feel like there's so many opportunities again to make it janky if you're going to be tying it to that. Whereas I could use a glue dash, and that's going to be a lot more effective. I feel like that's the finishing touch on this. So I'm going to put it just onto the base. Everybody know that if their adhesive is never sticking, just put it in your waistband because it probably is too cool. And the too cool could even be just from air conditioning.
Okay.
So we're not using a seedless watermelon here. We have a full seed watermelon.
Yeah, the seeds really do make it pop.
It does. It makes it so much cuter.
Yeah. So how many, just roughly how many did you put, are you putting on there?
15.5.
Hi, Alexa. Welcome. Hi. And those are what, like two and
They're five down to about 1.
1 inch.
Yeah.
Cute. So cute.
Yep. So cute. Love it. Okay. So number 1 done. I have a marketing event today, and I decided that I was going to bring all these little pieces of fruit that I bring because, if you're going to ever go to a marketing event, then bring stuff that other people don't know how to make. Like, don't bring stuff that everybody knows how to do. If they're like, oh, my sister makes balloon garlands, then still think that, but nobody's ever going to come up to you and say, oh, my sister also makes a balloon watermelon. So that's what sets you apart. Like, just be.
Good point. Good point.
Okay, so now time to remember how big I made my last row here. So when I was doing this pineapple, speaking of being different, I wanted to make like a giant sunset pineapple because I thought that it would be a little bit more fun just to have like this really cool wild colored pineapple instead of a regular pineapple. So I maybe would have changed the bottom color, but I didn't have any lime links, so this is what we're ending up with.
Can you show us is the center hollow or what's inside there?
You're going to see in a second.
Oh, so
So
I'm ruining the surprise. Okay.
it's okay. So I did do this with 7 around, um, and I'm making this the centerpiece because I usually like to do things in odds, but I had forgotten that when I put them on a frame, that I like to do it with 8. And the reason why is because I make a tiny little flower that goes in at the kind of at the middle, and then also we'll make one for the bottom because otherwise it is hollow. And that's fine. But then if you're going to be doing your event outside or if you needed to stay somewhere, it's what I do then is how I have my pole. I'm able to slide the pole through the center, and then I actually just tie my neck to it on the top and bottom. And now it's attached to my pole.
Mhm.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
So that way it's not going to fly off or move around. And then you could do this and you could even add a sandbag to it on the bottom. So I just find where my row is. I make like the little tiny cluster in the center. And that's also going to give it some support if it's windy outside so that it doesn't blow away. Okay. So we did have one of these links go down overnight, but I left it in because this one we already started and I was going to show it from the top, but I do want to show you because this is what the weave looks like when it's over it. And you can see how, again, I go over the neck and I go over it two different ways. So you have to be really careful if you have anything go flat to where when you pop it, you don't end up losing the tension in the two sides. So I want to teach you how to replace a balloon if you have one go down.
Okay.
Sometimes everything goes right and sometimes you lose a balloon. Could you make yours? Is this one? So when I cut this out, I'm actually going to leave my pieces intact. So I'm going to hold the knot over here and I'm just pinching it. So see how the balloon is still there?
Mm-hmm.
I found that's the best way to do it. And then when I tie it, I'm going to go around the 260s and then tie it to the existing balloon. So that way it's securing it. Then you need to press it into the center. Again, I'm going to take it and go around both sets. Tie it. So that way we're secure before I just snip the other side of the back of the balloon, because then that's not pushing it out. So now it's going to fit exactly into space, but we didn't end up compromising the integrity of the structure for where we were replacing the balloon. Does that make sense?
Yep.
I feel like a watermelon is kind of a weird shape. Whenever I do one, I was thinking, is it wrong? Is it wrong? Because it really is so oval. It again doesn't have a huge curve. And what I do is my bottom and my top are a little bit smaller, but I just go up a half an inch. So it's like I start at, it's like 6.5, 7, 7.5, 8, 8.5, 9. And then I start to taper down again when I go to the top. So it's the exact opposite. Okay. So this one has rings of 7. Let me show you on here. Sorry.
Every row is a link of 7, right? Because it clicks together, right?
We're going to, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Sorry. I just did them timed on my machine though, because I know that it's about a half inch per number that I go down.
One thing that Alyssa pointed out in another link-on-loons demonstration is that you want to tie the neck to the skinny part for the structure. I'm totally
Yeah.
listening every time, Alyssa. Believe me, this all sinks in, okay?
So like Alexa said, I think, and I used to do it where I was tying it, the two ends to each other, and then you tie the two ends and then you tie it again to the top. So actually it ends up being the exact same amount of time, because I've timed it both ways. So we're also about being efficient. So we inflate a single, crossover again tight, and we keep on tying them tip to tail. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I sometimes start my first one as my cheater, where I do 2 together. oven. And then we're going to tie it into the ring. Like I said before, stacking rings on top of each other, also how you make a Santa.
Yeah, what other applications could we use this technique for this round? A ball, maybe?
Do the sphere, you know, it's slightly different. I really just make, I haven't had
Obvious.
anything made out of the round, but you could do, there's a lot of different flowers that you could do with it. I've seen people put like a 18-inch in the center, and then they've had this go around it, and then they've done like made it a sunflower or a sun where they've had these as the attachment points done instead of doing the 260 around it because it just stays a little bit better.
Hmm.
Okay, so we're going to nestle it so that it's in between. And we're going to do the exact same thing that we did before. Oh my. And again, I'm going to ribbon them. These ones are Brookloon. I use less expensive 260s, and a lot of times I get like the multicolor packs when they're on sale. But I would never use Amazon 260s because those are garbage. Oh, I still have this one from yesterday. Okay. Always a little bit difficult to start just because it wants to flip up. So it's wonky. I'm going to come up. And again, I'm going to go completely around the center, come up, and tie these end to end. I don't do it at first just because I find that when I have more, then I'm more likely to have the extra balloon get caught. Again, you just want to do it with the same tension. I find that if I'm ever working on a project with someone else, I might have one person inflate and one person do all of the assembling, just because then you're going to have the same tension throughout compared to if you change path, because one person might pull a little bit tighter than the other person does.
And just since we didn't see the rest of the pineapple being built, you have those smaller 5-inch balloons in there to like lock the stuff in place and maybe hide some of the knots or whatever. Do you recommend adding those as you go? Because it would it be too floppy if you're trying to like weave this all together without having those there?
Nope, we actually usually add them all at the end, but just due to time, I had Callie put them on this morning. So I built the entire thing and then she put that together at the end of it. So you don't even need to have them. Like a lot of times when we do the Santa, we just use red and we don't use them at all. But for the pineapple, I like it because when you're looking at a pineapple, it does have like, you could do that lattice weave too, but I feel like this just gives that extra little bit of texture that you have on a pineapple, which
Hmm.
is why I did it. So if you just want to cover your knots, otherwise you could either cut them off or you could just tuck them all between. And as long as you're using the same color balloon, then you're not going to see it. So because this would be fine, and it's completely has complete structural integrity. So adding this is just a design choice. So also if you have somebody who's maybe wants to have a pineapple, but they don't have as big a budget, then you could leave those out. So, and they're still going to have a great pineapple.
Hmm. Okay.
Not even necessary. So we're again going to repeat. And as you do it, one of the things that you want to watch for is you almost want the center of the balloon to nestle in between. And then again, the center to be above the top to stay symmetrical. This one I'm just going to tie off because we're all the way around. Okay. So the next one that I want to do is, in order to finish this off, I'm going to do like a little flower in this color, and I'm going to make that one out of 5" instead of out of 12". And this is very similar to the one that I'm doing on the inside, except for I'm going to have a piece 7 around. And I also don't want it to be flat. I want to have a little bit of a puff, so it's going to be upsized a little bit. I actually do think I'm going to use 12. So 2, 4, 5, 6, 7. These we're just going to tie end to end, and I'm going to make it slightly smaller than this size. So I'm just going down on my machine by 1. So when you start to get smaller, one of the things to watch is, instead of inflating it and just having it be instead of inflating it and we're all the way here on the neck, I'm going to pull it down like that, and I'll show you the difference. See how this one is just a lot rounder and already a lot tighter? Could you see the difference in it? I could feel the difference.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, and then again, we're going to be tying this really tight because it's still going to have the stretch. So I'm going to do this, make a little flower of 7. Little crazy pants strawberry right now. And I'm going to take these and I'm going to tie each end. You can make the little yellow ones. Okay, put it in the bag. Just 14 and I'll show it 1. So here's the top of our pineapple. And then you could do whatever you want for your little things that come off of the top. I like to do 260 loops. So we just fully inflate a 260 and tie it end to end to make a ring. And then these are going to also be the loops. Become a topiary. Just need to tie them. This is funny. I usually do that all at one time. And again, I did 7 just because the magic in there. Whoop. Okay, gonna be 6. You just want to make sure that you keep your knots in the center. Okay, so we needed a little bit more of a burp.
A little bit more of a what?
Burp, let some air out when you tie
Oh.
it. If you don't let the air out when you tie it, then that's what happens. It's just too tight. Then I'm just going to tie this to the top so that it makes the little top for the pineapple. Okay, so I'm doing the little half twist, and this one is inflated to it looks like about 3. Yep, 3 inches. And when you tie it, you want to make sure that you tie it at the end. And then you're just going to push down with even pressure. And then take the knot. And that's going to lock it. So now it's not going to come apart. And then you're able to go below the knot, above the knot. And what I do is I change places because changing places is what's going to lock it so it doesn't come undone when you transport. Again, top, bottom, 1, 2, 3. Under, over, don't leave it there, but give it a little twist to change places. And you can just see how that adds that tiny bit of detail so it looks finished compared to not looking finished. It still looks good though. Like this looks good, this looks better. Okay. Does anybody else have a question on that? Oh, didn't try this one and this one. Allie? So cute. Okay, what time is it? What time are we at?
9:48 or 11:48 or 12:48.
Okay, so I'm just going to show a quick technique for the strawberry because it's similar but different than what we've been doing. This is just a difference in tension. If you notice that something is sticking out, like what I do is I tuck my edges in if they're sticking out. I have these edges from the 260 and I'm going to be able to hide that. So that's what I just do with a final look is just see is there anything that's sticking out that needs to be hidden. These are great tools for hiding things because otherwise I feel like you almost have to go back and cut a lot of necks too. Okay, so let's go to strawberry. So this technique for the strawberry is also very similar. Has anybody here made one of the cupcakes?
No. Although I would really love to make one of those cakes.
Oh, the cake was fun. We could do that. I found one more seed, so I'm going to put the extra seed into the watermelon. Because my ADD, I'll be like, there was a seed. I need to do that now. Okay, so what we're doing is very similar to the rainbow technique, but not exactly the same. And on this one, I am going to pull up my recipe. And I'm going to show you the top 2 rows, which would be where the where the head is to it, because then with the sizing, you're just going to be repeating this to come down to the bottom. So if you could do the top 2 rows, then you understand the recipe and you would be able to make the rest of it with the recipe. Okay, so we're going to go around 11 times. And our first one is going to be an 8.5 inch to a 4.5 inch. So I'm going to do all I'm going to use my slider again. So I'm going to slide this back so you can see more what I'm doing. Sorry, I think I said 8.5, but it's 8. This one's a little bit more advanced, and you'll see why in a second. And we're doing 11 of these, so I'm just going to pull 11. Oh, good. And then you could either put them into a bag, but we like to use our double-decker wagon because it's at the height where I don't need to bend over. And then also I could pull it to where I need to use it. So it's just a little bit more convenient. Okay, this is done.
Looks great. Fabulous.
And it's so funny even in these colors too. So even though it's not like traditional, I just wanted you guys to think outside the box a little bit.
Yeah.
That you can make anything in any colors. It doesn't need to look traditional. So I'm going to blow up the one side that's going smaller just with the tip. My 8 is an 8, so 4.5. So we're going to do this 11 times. Oh, sorry. I did that wrong right off the bat.
Sorry, we're moving on to the strawberry. And what size are those?
This is 8 to a 4.5, and we're doing a red to a green. I know that setting goes up exactly to 8, and you want it to be tight again. This is going to make a big strawberry. It's going to be cute. So I don't need to measure that side. We're doing 11 of these. Sorry, guys. I usually try to pre-inflate, but we had a last minute order.
Oh, good.
I don't know.
Sure I got these recipes right, which I'm gonna need you to double check.
More boring to watch than me doing the exact same thing 22 times. Who's gonna not answer that call? There, pick it up, Kelly. Spam. Sorry, I get spam. Was it spam? It was spam. I turned sideways. So this is the last one. So this is also going to be a duplet like the rainbow, but both of the rows that we're putting together are going to be sized differently instead of being sized the same. So I'll pull up my recipe again. We like to keep our recipes on an iPad. That way anybody could access it. So my second row is going to be 7.5 by 5. Okay. Now I know that you're probably thinking to yourself, like, well, why is the big size to the little size and the little size to the big size? To me, when I was learning this, that was actually the biggest part of why I was having trouble understanding it because, and I'll show you in a minute, but I would think that I would do the bigger size to the bigger size in a row, like an 8 to a 5, and then the 7.5 to the 4.5, because to me that made sense because they were both big, both little. Just everyone. But the thing is since we're going to be crisscrossing and doing big, small, it's going to be switching, it's going to be alternating places, which is, that's why your recipe is going to stay correct. Don't know if that made sense. I think sometimes it makes a little bit more sense when you start to make it for that.
It's like the rainbow, right?
Like the rainbow, but both the rows are different sizes instead of being the same size.
Okay.
So on this one, instead of being eight to, instead of being, 8 to 4.5, 8 to 4.5, because on the rainbow or on the watermelon or the lemon or the orange or the lime, whatever you're making, these two are going to be the same size. It's going to be 8 by 4.5, 8 by 4.5. We're doing 8 by 4.5, 7.5 by 5. So they're
Okay.
two different, and every row is like that. That's why I'm starting it actually with the top because I feel like it's easier to understand it when you have two colors than when you, like, if they're the same, then it could get confusing again. So we're going to do 11 pairs again. And what this is going to do is instead of just the sizes getting smaller, is it's going to like either taper it out or taper it in a little bit easier. Because remember how for the watermelon slice, I went 9 and then I went 9 and then I went 7 and then I went 5 and just used fewer. But you could tell that it's like a little bit wonky. It's not completely symmetrical as it comes up. That's why, because, but if we're doing it in a total ring, then it needs to be, then you have to do it correctly. You can't just eliminate a side. Does that make sense?
Yeah. For the watermelon wedge, you tied them different sizes together like this and then wove them together, correct?
Correct. But for every row, they were I would have done 22 of this pair at this size for the watermelon slice or for the rainbow for any of those. So they are both the same size when they go into a row for the watermelon.
Right.
Like every single balloon is sized the same. When we do this one, what's going to happen is this size is going to be 8 and 5. And this side is going to be 7.5 and 4.5. Because instead of being flat like this, it's going to be like this because it's rings that we're stacking. So then every one comes in a little bit this way. So it tapers in this way. Does that make sense? Instead of tapering in the way that we went.
I have no idea, but I'm gonna see.
Okay. Like I just want to kind of demonstrate the technique for it.
Yeah.
For it on this one because you really just keep on repeating the whole thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I would say that a rainbow or the watermelon, that those are intermediate, where this is more advanced, just because of
Okay.
slightly more confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. Where did those fashion green 260s go? I like to have a clean workspace. Makes it a little bit less confusing for me. Okay, so I have some on my table.
Excuse me.
I'm going to start my day, tie it off. Okay, so we have our 8 and we have our 4.5. And now I have my 7.5 and my 5. I'm going to do 2, and then I think that makes it easier to understand. See, that's why it's easier when you have 2 different colors. I got distracted by someone walking in. So when we're looking at this, the 8 and the 5 end up on the same side, and the 7 and the 4.5 end up on the same side. So that's why they end up getting, since they're on an angle, why we do the big to the little and the little to the big when we put it together. Guys, give me giant. Oh, see, I made another mistake. That's why I like the multiple colors. So even when I do a cupcake, I tend to do each row in a different color. Like I'll pick 2 different brands that are similar or something that, because it just prevents me from making mistakes. And we'll see if my measurements were correct. I haven't made this guy in one. So this one is going to go completely into a circle. Feel like I need one more red. I think I made a mistake there. So the reason I need one more red is because otherwise I am securing a green to a green in my circle. see that now we have, oh, it goes completely orange.
Pretty.
And then this one is a little bit smaller. So when you look at it, you have this size is bigger and this size is smaller. So that's the way that we're going to graduate it to come up to shrink it down. So it's going to be the same thing where the next row is also going to be, two sizes, but it's going to be tinier to come up. And then the bottoms are just going to be all red. And again, taper to come down. And then you connect them with that same zigzag weave, even though they're two different sizes. So that ends up being exactly the same. So that could be like just a good way to make a cool, cute little flower too. I think this is cute.
Yeah.
But that's for how you do the strawberry. So I'll finish it and then I'll put a picture in the group. Does anybody have any questions about anything?
Yeah, I guess I'm so confused of like where this is going. So it's gonna go all so I can't really see the end result here yet.
Well, so what you do is every single row is going to be the same in that it's um, 5 different. Let's see if I can make it. It ends up being so that it's like the top and then the bottom of the strawberry tapers down. So you're just doing row over row over row, but every single row, like this is our biggest row, is going to get smaller on the bottom. And then also there's one more row of green for the top. That's the only way that I could think of to explain it. So I
Okay.
could I could do it on time lapse and then we could put that into the group so that way people could see the.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'll finish it on time lapse then and then put it in there. So okay.
Okay.
Some
Does
fun
anyone
for
have any questions for Alyssa on any of these techniques? The recipes will also be posted in the classroom. You can put the question in the chat if you'd like. Okay, awesome. Well, Alyssa, this was awesome. I have one question. Thank you. Get some thank yous in the chat. So I will close the recording here and post this in the group. Thank you, guys.